Welcome back to the Guardian Film Show, making the world about 10 times smarter on a weekly basis since 2012. Coming up this week, we have the usual diet of violence and heartbreak, romance and song. And that's just here in the studio. On this week's show, Marion Cotillard fights for the right to go back to work in 2 days, 1 night. Daniel Radcliffe is looking for love in the winsome rom-com What If? And Belle and Sebastian frontman Stuart Murdoch rustles up a sun-splashed umbrellas of Glasgow with his musical God Help the Girl. But first we meet Lucy, as played by Scarlett Johansson. She's an all-seeing, arse-kicking angel of vengeance, taking out drug dealers and hopping back and forth through time. Morgan Freeman's scientist can't explain her, but hopefully Luc Besson can. The director sat down with The Guardian's Andrew Pulver.
It is estimated most human beings only use 10% of their brain's capacity. Imagine if we could access 100%. Interesting things begin to happen.
I have access to 28% of my cerebral capacity. I can feel every living thing.
As soon as you ask yourself the question, what's real, what's fake, I'm the winner. Because that's exactly what I want. I want the people to say, okay, hold on, what's true, what's fake? We're using 10% of our brain, that's wrong. We're not using 10%. It's an old theory from the 60s, never been proven. What's real is we're using 15% of our neurons in the same time, never 100.
It's like all things that make me human are fading away.
I'm excited to see, can we try to put in the same meal salt and sugar, content and fun? Can we? So I have to be the one who tried the mix to see if it's working. I don't want anyone to die with the food, you know.
I'm joined now by Catherine Shoard and Henry Barnes. Henry, this film made me think that maybe one day I could be a drug mule and have a pack of drugs burst in my stomach.
I think you're already working at 25% or something, aren't you? But yeah, I mean, only Luc Besson could make that situation look like something that is going to play to your advantage. And I think, in terms of a Luc Besson movie, this is great. This is so many ideas done at once, and with his films, occasionally a few stick, and this one really has. And he's talked about it being the pop and the science working together. And I think he does a convincing job of making a brainy sci-fi interesting and fun, or on the flip side of that, making a dumb film seem clever enough that you can stick with it long enough. It's also interesting because it's Scarlett Johansson after doing Her, doing Under the Skin, it's yet another film where she's trying to remove herself as a Hollywood star from the part almost entirely, in that you don't really get the sense that she's a fully formed character by the end of the film. Just pieces of her vanish piece by piece, and then by the end she's almost one-dimensional because she's become so enlightened and heightened above normal humanity that she no longer really is relatable to us. I mean, in terms of actually watching the film, it's quite difficult in the final third to enjoy it because she's a dead-eyed superhero, but at the same time it is interesting to see how
she does it well though, and there's a sort of rueful bit of comedy to it as well, that you have the sense that she's kind of enjoying this kind of odd role that she's playing, which is almost like a kind of popular flip side of Under the Skin, where she's like the alien adrift in the world.
Yeah, and it also gives Besson the license to basically write a character that can be anything and is nothing at the same time, and that's fine. Usually in an action film, the characters are that because it's poorly written, but this really isn't. It's pacey, it's got a decent script, and she does, particularly in the first third of the film, an excellent job of selling a character to you that you're basically going to lose as the film goes on.
Is there a problem with the dramatic tension of this film, though, in that the more brain power she kind of occupies and the greater her power grows, you start to think, well, the film can't really keep pace with her. She's supposed to be taking out these drug dealers, and yet nobody can stop her. She's like this sort of godhead by the end.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't actually touch anybody for the whole of those action scenes. So you have these things where people are running towards her in the traditional bunch of 15 guys attacking all at once, and she doesn't have to touch them because her brain power is such that she has telekinetic ability.
So she's invincible.
She's invincible, but then I saw that as an advantage in that it's the action genre turned on its head in that there's no action. And it's just someone who is invulnerable, invincible, all-present and ever-knowing. And what would happen in the world if that happened, and Besson doesn't know because it's it's somebody who's working at his capacity couldn't understand it, but it still makes for an entertaining watch.
Professor Norman, my name's Lucy. I just read all your research on the human brain. We need